Hey everybody, and welcome to another craft tutorial. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos on Wednesdays and Saturdays with the occasional bonus live video, and be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. This is a craft for the curve video where I'm going to show you guys the right way and the wrong way to do a pop socket using UV resin and some glitter. Let's go ahead and get started. And don't forget to check out the other crafty creators down in the description box below, as well as the sponsors for the giveaway also listed in the description box below. You'll just need a couple supplies to get started. You'll need some UV resin, silicone brushes. I usually use baby wipes, a UV light, and some glitter. So all I'm doing is putting a small coat of the UV resin onto my black. And then I'm going to do the same with the white. You don't want to put a lot on, just enough to coat it. There's not really an exact measurement. It's just a matter of kind of figuring out how much you really need for your glitter to sink in. I'm taking my silicone brush and I'm going to move the UV resin just to the edges of my pop socket just by pushing it to the edge. The reason you use a silicone brush is because the UV resin doesn't stick to the silicone and you're going to get less bubbles by doing this. And you're also able to really easily wipe off the UV resin from a silicone brush, or if it dries on there and cures, you can just crack the silicone brush, kind of bend it, and it'll crack off. So as you see, I'm moving it to the edge. My fingers are kind of turning the pop socket so that I make sure that I get all the way to the edge. I'm using a little bit of overhead light just to make sure that I have gotten all the way to the edge with my pop socket. Now we are doing the black one correctly, and we're going to do the white one the wrong way. Now you'll see I'm tipping it a little bit. You want to make sure that you keep your pop socket level. I realize you can't totally see, but I do have this lifted off of the table a little bit, and I'm pushing way more liquid to the edges than I did on the black one. You want a pretty light coat to the edge. That way it doesn't run off the side. I also am running my brush all along the side, and then I got UV resin all over my fingers, and so I'm going to wipe my brush off now. You want to make sure to clean your brush off as soon as you're done. Super easy, just a nice way to clean it off. And these are alcohol-free baby wipes. We're using fine glitter for both of these. The hot pink fine glitter on the white. And what I'm going to do is I'm putting a ton of glitter on this. You want just enough glitter to cover it and to sink into your UV resin. So usually what I do is a nice thin coat first, but I'm going to do a really thick, heavy coat on the white one, and you'll see that it's too heavy and it's not sinking in to my resin. If you look, you can see kind of a dark spot there in the center. That's where it is way too thick and it's not sinking in. Then I'm going to move it and shake it. You don't want to do that. You don't want to shake off the excess glitter like that. You don't want to tap it. You want to just leave it sit as is. I'm going to go ahead and do the black one the correct way, and I'm using kind of a teal-y color just so that it would show up a little bit better for you guys. And I'm going to use the shaker side, and I'm just going to shake a really light coat onto my pop socket. Enough to cover it, but also enough that it will only sink into the UV resin and won't sit on top of it. You'll notice that as you put it on, it's going to sink in, and you'll see the UV resin on top versus the glitter on top. Put the lids back on for sure. I've spilled glitter before. My UV light, we're going to let it sit on top of that for 4 minutes for 2 pop sockets. It seems to work really well at 4 minutes, and mine has the constant on setting, so it's really nice. So I'm going to fit those both under my UV light and let that sit for 4 minutes. Once 4 minutes is up, we're going to go ahead and turn off our light, and you can remove the light from on top of them. I had some glitter on the little foot, so I'm going to dust that off. Now you're going to go ahead and take a look. Now here is where we did it wrong. You'll see that it's got a bunch of resin under it, so it's stuck to the paper. And we're going to tap off any excess glitter that didn't stick to the resin because obviously we put too much glitter. The black one came out perfectly, and you'll see how nice and smooth it is, and it pops. And then the pink one isn't going to pop as well because it does have a little bit of resin stuck to it. So I popped them up just so I could kind of show you another wrong thing to do. So I'm going to put way too much resin onto this pink one. And if you put too much resin on, it's going to start running over the sides. Also, because of the way that this popped up, it's not sitting flat to the surface. It has a bit of a curve to it, or a lean. So it is going all to one side. So I put way too much resin on, which means that now all of that resin is going to run down the sides of it. I'm picking it up, I'm turning it, You don't want to do that with resin. You want to keep it flat on a level surface, and you just want to use your silicone brush to move it around. If it gets on your hands, baby wipe takes it off just fine. You could use gloves while working with UV resin. I don't typically do it, and it's probably not the best, but I didn't. I would recommend wearing gloves though. So again, all I'm doing is pushing the UV resin around, and you can see I'm trying to chase all the ones that are dripping off the side and trying to prevent them from falling off. So I'm just moving my resin around. I've got way too much, so I'm gonna have to brush some of it off. I'm trying to keep it from running down one side while it's running down another side. So it's just an absolute mess. It's all over my fingers. It's all over my brush. It's too much. So I'm going to get a baby wipe and wipe that off before I move on to my next one. The baby wipes are great. Again, alcohol-free is best. These are great because you can use them to clean your mats. You can wipe your hands with them, do all sorts of things. So I'm going to go ahead and pop my black one back down. I'm going to show you guys a nice close-up. See how smooth that is? It doesn't have bumps in it. So I want to put just a small bit of resin. You don't need a lot for this top layer. So I'm just going to put a little bit of resin on this. And again, I'm going to move it to the sides very gently. You don't want to put a ton on for your first coat. You just need to put a little bit, and you can always add resin. Make sure you wipe off your brush between them, because that pink one had too much glitter, so there was pink glitter stuck into my silicone brush. So I want to make sure that they don't have any of that glitter transferring over to my other pop socket. So again, all I'm doing is pushing it to the edges. I'm going to hold on to it though, because they do tend to slide a lot. So we're just going to go ahead and push all that resin all the way to the edge. A great way to make sure you're getting to the edge is to bend down and actually look at it from the side, and that'll help you see where you have missed any spots, and you want to make sure that it's pretty good and level. I'm going to need to add a little bit of resin to this because I didn't put quite enough on, but as I said, you always want less than you do more. It's harder to get rid of more resin than it is to add just a little drop or two to let it level out and fill in any of the low spots. UV resin will pretty much level itself, which is really nice. Just make sure again that your item is on a nice level surface. So I'm just going to put a little drop on the top. I didn't put much. That resin bottle is almost empty. And all I'm going to do is swipe that around a little bit just to help it kind of fill in any of the low spots that it may have. And it's really easy to do. You'll be able to see where you have a little bit of a low spot in your resin just by looking. And I do recommend having decent light when doing this. You don't want to do this in a dark room. An overhead light really does make a big difference when you're working with this resin. You also don't want to work with it really close to a window that is open with sun shining in, because it will cure your resin. So I'm going to push these a little bit closer together so that they'll fit under the dome. And I'm going to set another timer, and I'm going to set that timer for 4 minutes again. Here are the finished pop sockets. Now this was the one that I did the wrong way, and then this is the one that I did the right way. If you look at the wrong way from this angle, you can see all the bumps. There's big, huge bumps where there's too much glitter, like right over here. And this is the one that we did the correct way, and you can see how glassy smooth it is. This one we put way too much glitter on and way too much resin. And then this one we put just a little bit of glitter and a little bit of resin, and you can see the difference in thickness. Pink is super, super thick, where the blue is not. This one is also still tacky. This one is not. This one is hard. This one is still sticky. I don't know if I can get my finger to, yep, still sticky. This one is not at all sticky. I can't get it to stick. So you can see a huge difference, and if you look around the sides, you can see this one's all bumpy and lumpy around the pink one, and the blue one is perfect and smooth. So there is a fine way to do these, and you don't need to use a lot of UV resin when you make these. You just need to be careful, but you can really see all the bumping here. It takes just a light layer of glitter and a light layer of UV resin, and you can add decals on top of this one. It's super easy. This one is just a mess, and if you look around the side, I put too much, I don't know if you can see it, but I put way too much resin on there, and you can see it drip down the side. So now, like when I go to pop it, it doesn't quite pop right. This one, you can see it's going to pop perfectly and pop back out. So that is a little lesson on the right way and the wrong way to do a pop socket. I hope you guys had fun learning the right and the wrong way to make a pop socket. using UV resin. If you make this or any of the other crafts by our other crafty creators, please use the hashtag #CraftForTheCurve and post that on any of your favorite social media platforms. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer that for you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And hit that bell icon because that will let you know when I post a new video. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.